Welcome to this week's show. I'm so excited to introduce you to my wonderful, lovely guest today, Lizzie Mattson. Lizzie is the
Hey.
Lizzie is the founder of Wild Feather Co., a boutique Instagram marketing agency that focuses on intentional strategy and beautifully designed organic content. With her team by her side, Lizzie serves women in the online space who deserve freedom from their social media to-do list. And if you follow me on Instagram, which you should be, you will see Lizzie's incredible work in the wild because Lizzie is in charge of all my Instagram. So welcome, Lizzie. Thank you
Hey,
so much for
hey.
being here.
It's my pleasure, as always.
I would love if you could start and just share a little more information with our listeners about you and what you do and how you help people.
How I help people. I am passionate about helping people set boundaries in all areas of their life. And I think everyone could agree that we all, in one way or another, struggle with the boundaries around social media. And so, I help people set boundaries with their social media in the sense that I run it for them, specifically Instagram. You won't see me running the Twitters or the YouTubes or whatever. um I just do Instagram, and I really love that because I set that boundary for myself. So I help people by just running their account as beautifully and as thoughtfully and intentionally as I can. um about myself, I live in South Dakota. I live in the beautiful Black Hills, Dakota, because there's a lot of the state that isn't as cute or picture worthy, but I live in the Black Hills. And that, for anybody who isn't in the like Midwest area of the country, I live in the part that's by Mount Rushmore, if that helps identify that. And yeah, it's a beautiful place to live.
Wonderful. I would love to hear a little bit, and I don't actually know that I know this story about how you started your business. What was sort of the catalyst that brought it all forth?
Okay. Um, so I officially legally became a business in February of 2018. But leading up to that, I was a college student here in my town. And I was finishing up my bachelor's degree in psychology, and I'd reached I was a little bit of a non-traditional student, but I reached what you would probably equate to like senior year. And I knew by the time I started that last academic year that it wasn't for me. And I had already been working in the field, and I knew it didn't align with my work-life balance. Nothing about it respected any boundary at all. And I knew by finishing my bachelor's degree and going on to get my master's, for me and my desired life, none of it was going to be in alignment. And I knew that by senior year. But as many of us with student loans understand, that I had kind of gotten far enough that I didn't have a plan B, I didn't have a backup plan. And college wasn't for me, in the sense that I don't like being told to show I'm a free spirit. I don't like being told to show up to this class 3 times a week and do all these assignments that I knew weren't, because I was already working in the field. I already knew that so much of what I was learning and being assigned wasn't like serving any of that. So all of that to say, I knew before I even graduated that I wanted freedom to work from home, to be, I don't like the phrase like be your own boss, because we hear it so much, or being a lady boss or whatever. I just feel like we've run that into the ground. So I wanted to work for myself very much. And I am so dang creative. I am a 4. I'm the most like 4 you could be of an Enneagram 4. And so much of everything that I was going through in that season was just pointing in the direction of that was not the direction for me. So I knew that I was always dreaming up business ideas. Since 2013, had been running my own Etsy shop. I'm a fiber artist. And I have been doing I have always been the crafty friend, the
Okay.
creative friend of every friend group ever. And so I initially thought, well, maybe I bought it was the first time I spent any money on like non-college stuff. So I spent like $150 on an e-course to become a virtual assistant. And I thought, oh, this is glamorous. This could make up my income so that I could do my Etsy shop and eventually make my Etsy shop be full time. And I quickly learned that there's only so much embroidering you can do in one day.
Can you explain to me what fiber art is?
Oh my gosh, yes. Somebody asked me once if I was a nutritionist.
Oh,
like dietary fiber.
yeah, dietary fiber. Absolutely.
That is not it. Fiber.
String proteins.
Oh my god, do you crochet protein? Okay, so fiber art is any kind of fibers, yarn, thread, fabric. It can like sometimes cross over into textiles, but it's separate categories. So the two that I am most passionate about are weaving and hand embroidery, not with a machine. No. Like everything by hand. So those are the two. Yeah, those are the two things that I love to do. Yeah.
Okay, continue your story.
I think that was wrapping it up. Is that I thought I was going to be a virtual assistant to fund being able to do my Etsy shop full time. Oh, how deeply I wanted that, but I learned so quickly, like just my joints, my fingers, I could not keep up with fulfilling orders, and so I decided. Well, I didn't decide; it just kind of evolved into what it is today. So I'm not a virtual assistant, but I've done some in the past. But it moved into social media, and then I knew that I wanted to niche down even further. So Instagram's my game.
Wonderful. I love that. First off, I think that's an incredible story. And do you still have your Etsy shop today?
Yes, it is on vacation mode. It's temporarily closed because I had a baby at the end of 2021, the second to last day of the year.
Tax write-off.
This is true. And I was abundantly grateful for that. I was so happy he was born last year. Yes, I have my Etsy shop. It's not currently open, but I have a bounty. I have a large inventory that I'm just sitting on right now. And I am so passionate about doing in-person shows. I love craft shows. And so I think I'm saving it for, the next in-person event that I have the time and energy to do. But I'll eventually update my inventory on Etsy and get things back up and running. But yeah, not right now.
I'd love to find out some of the kind of fears and doubts you had when you first were starting out with doing your VA work, and how you overcame them.
I think a lot of us have experienced what do we call it? Where the people in our lives are maybe doubtful about our goals and dreams and aspirations. I remember a lot of the people closest to me seemed apprehensive that I got my degree in psychology. Why am I not continuing down that path? Everybody in my life closest to me knew that the current place I was at was absolutely not for me, and that wasn't going to continue. So I experienced a lot of like the outside people doubting me, but I didn't doubt myself much. Being in like a rural area for a while, I was thinking, oh, well, maybe I'll just serve like business owners around here. That was also not going to happen. At the time, nobody understood like virtual work and paperless work. People were expecting me to like come sit in their office or like with their phone and oh man. So some of the like mindset stuff was, I guess doubting like, can this be something for me? Like I didn't have a lot of connections. I didn't have a lot of like networking the in-person networking opportunities around here just weren't right for me. So I think what finally I was doing like little projects here and there. I had like a little bit of consistent work, but the income that was coming from that, one, I should have been charging wildly more for it. So it always felt like I could never take on enough clients to meet the income goal that I wanted. Um, and so, gosh, I think things really took off. Um, and like I really, truly finally was able to prove to myself and to those closest to me in my life during the pandemic when everything was shut down, who was still being able to work. All the people who do virtual
Yep.
things, people in the online business space. And the most when everybody else was struggling, and I was still like, I had like another part-time job locally. But it was in that season that I realized like I had never made so much money before. And so I think that was what finally, like I finally overcame maybe like my money mindset issues, was that in the middle of the pandemic, there were people who were ready to hire me suddenly. And so I was able to quit all my jobs and be full time from home. So since June of 2020, here I am.
I love that. I mean, the pandemic really showed how important it was for businesses to get online and how there's
Yeah.
a whole ecosystem in our little online virtual world where the businesses here, a lot of them were still thriving because we've been home. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's wonderful. Oh, I love that. I love that you were able to take something and really turn it
Yeah.
into something that wasn't, that was really hard, a really
Mm-hmm.
hard time for all of us.
Yeah.
And your business was able to thrive during that. That's incredible.
It was a good feeling.
What would you say were some of the surprising challenges that you've had to overcome? I know we talked a little bit about some of like the people who weren't as supportive and some of the money mindset, but was it anything else you would say that was kind of you were surprised by as a challenge that you faced?
I shouldn't have been surprised, but I guess I was. So I went from working right before the pandemic. When I left the human services field, I did something totally like random and unexpected. I uh, just on a whim walked in for an interview to work in like a retail shop locally, which I don't do things on a whim. I like to like take forever to like sit on an idea and think about it and like really like plan things out. Um, and so I went like working retail. I saw like at least 100 people a day and went from seeing lots of people. And since I'm an extrovert, that I mean, it was exhausting, but it still like filled my cup um, in the sense of like seeing people, just like social interaction, to the pandemic hitting. And then when I, decided to quit, I was seeing nobody. So I knew that it was going to be hard, but I think I was surprised by um, the, oh gosh, the way my energy was focused in a different way. Um, that definitely surprised me. It also pleasantly surprised me the relationships that I was able to pour into and the relationships I was uh, wonderfully able to maybe scale back or say goodbye to. And that was a good feeling, the relationship aspect, that I was able, to pour into friendships and relationships that I wasn't able to give as much of my time to.
How would you say that you've built relationships online? Like, where have you gone to really find your people, find your tribe?
There has been, this very well. Masterminds just seem to really bring together the right people at the right time. And so I would say I participated in a couple masterminds. Um, Facebook groups were not the place. I think we all tried that at least once.
Yes,
Um,
we did.
Shameless like self-promotion and whatever. I think we've all been a member of at least one Facebook group that had like what 50,000 women in it. Um, oh boy. Yeah, so finding my tribe in the sea of people that are online. I think it started with masterminds, and then when those people who like become like what you would call like business acquaintances. I know you don't like the phrase biz bestie. Just trying to avoid it. But I don't like it either. It's fine.
Why can't we just call it business? It's my business bestie.
Business. I don't like bestie as much. I don't know. I think we've just used so many phrases too much. It is what it is.
I think biz bestie only bothers me when it's like in the written form.
I can see that.
Because I don't know, sometimes with the written shorthand, like when people write you are, that drives me bonkers. I'm like, just write. Like, I don't know. It's also not used properly a lot of the time.
You should if I use it incorrectly, you should call me out on it because I wanna learn from that.
Oh, I would. Absolutely.
Gosh, yeah. So yeah, back to relationships. I would say some of my like internet friends, some of those relationships have become like some of the most meaningful, encouraging. Several of the ladies that I was in a mastermind with that we are no longer like in that space together. We have like an actual like group chat, like an actual texting group chat, and it's just been like it's encouraging. We don't always like reach out because I'm not the only one in that group that has a new baby either. But yeah, those relationships have become really special, and as they've evolved, I was able to like I've hired one of those ladies. Another one is just happens to be coming out here on vacation in a couple weeks. So those relationships are really valuable, and I wouldn't have anticipated that a few years ago. What the sweetness of those friendships, I wouldn't have anticipated that then that I have now.
Yeah, I know for me, like when I started investing in masterminds, it felt like it expanded my network and it expanded my connections to be more meaningful. And I love that. I mean, just like you, I have so many connections from mastermind groups that I was in, and like those masterminds are no longer together. And we're still doing a monthly check-in, or we have a group chat, or we have a group Voxer. Like I have a whole bunch of different little mastermind groups. And that to me has just been so special because it can get really lonely online. And also, it can be hard to connect with other people in real life because they don't all necessarily understand the work that we do online. And so I know that's been huge for me. I actually had one gal who were in a program together. We both live in Southern California, and we'd connected on that piece before. And she's mentioned she comes up to my area from time, like maybe once a month, because she has a friend up here. And she sent me a message like 2 weeks ago and was like, hey, I'll be up. Do you want to get together? I said, yes, let's meet for coffee. We went and got coffee. We walked around the harbor. We talked like all this online business stuff. It filled my cup so full. It was just the greatest start to the weekend.
So happy. That makes me happy. I think also like when speaking of networking, something that I think is missing when I've gone to like in-person networking things like locally, like that, like maybe my local chamber of commerce or like whatever local stuff around here. I think what's missing, or the difference between the two is that those in-person ones, people are, they don't know anything more than to just like pitch, whatever they are involved in and hand you a business card. And maybe you sit together at a table and like you might engage in like a thoughtful conversation, or you might be like doing drinks or an activity or something. But I think the networking that I have enjoyed online is much more meaningful because it's usually a friend of a friend, and you can see their social proof in one way or another versus just being handed a business card. Yep. I like the networking shift that happens in the online business space. That isn't to say that in-person networking isn't valuable, because I think it is. But I would say my sweetest relationships are the networking relationships are online.
Oh, I love that. I want to switch gears a little bit in our conversation and talk a little bit about the industry that you're in. And I would love to know if there's something that you dislike about your industry and that you would like to change.
All right, everybody.
Don't hold back.
I'm in the social media industry. I don't know if it's one thing. Well, we could give it an umbrella. I think it's really important, especially for me and my own mental health. And I think you and I have had, like, I think we've agreed on this before. At the end of the day, it's just social media.
It's just
I
social media.
think in so many ways, all of us in the back of our mind need to maybe not, I don't want to say not put it on a pedestal. I think we need to humble how we view how we value like our Instagram presence. I know it's dumb, but like I intentionally try to like downplay like when I'm talking to people about, I don't know, just Instagram in general. I like intentionally like um mispronounce it. I call it the Instagrams. Okay, because at one point a very long time ago, Facebook used to be called the Facebook. And it also comes from an episode of Schitt's Creek where one of the characters is saying like, "Can we tweet that on Facebook or something?" Or like, no, it was their like TV commercial or something or a billboard, and it said, "Tweet us on Facebook." And I think it's really important to, yeah, maybe humble the way we value social media, and I think that translates into lots of different things. But for me, I take any client that I work with, I take your account very seriously. Like the work I'm doing for anybody, I take that seriously because I've been entrusted to be a good steward of that, and that's important to me. But also at the end of the day, let's say I call in sick, I have a baby, something, um, and a post gets missed that day. It's just Instagram.
It's just Instagram.
You still have your business. you you the world is not revolving around your Instagram account. I know these are like bold, what is it? Making waves
That's
statements.
what we're here to talk about.
Yeah, so I guess if there's anything bold I can say about my industry, and there's a lot of bold things I could say, it's just at the end of the day, it's just Instagram. It's just social media.
It's just social media. I remember when you were out on maternity leave and you were like, "Oh, if anything," I'm like, "It's just Instagram.
You're
No
right.
one, no one dies. Like, it's just Instagram.
It's true.
It's okay." I mean, the reason I outsourced is because Instagram stresses me out. I can't figure it out. Like, it is just beyond what I can figure out. I don't like that I can't like post a link on the like in the comments or like respond with a photo.
Right. I get
That's
that.
how I
I feel that way.
communicate. So I
Mhm.
can work, I can respond on the Facebook. Um, but the Instagrams, like it's
Mhm.
just for I also wish that I could change out a photo without having to delete the post and just start over.
I feel all the things you're saying, yes. Like, I don't disagree with you. Yes, I would love to be able to do all those things too. But then would it be Instagram or would it just be a new version of another platform?
That's good.
There you have it.
So yeah, so I guess for me, the thing that I love so much about outsourcing is it takes the stress off of me and it also makes it that I know that I'm showing up consistently on a platform and it's being done
Absolutely.
well. I'm being well represented and I love it. I'm
I
a big fan of outsourcing things
Well,
that are
I'm
not in our
grateful.
zone.
I'm grateful that you outsource to me. And it is always uh interview series or not, it is always just a joy and a pleasure to work with you. Truly.
Well,
What
thank
a
you.
what a treasure. I am so grateful to have you in my life.
Aw. Weepy moment. Okay. Next up, I would love to know what are you most proud of when it comes to your business?
Oh boy. I am most proud that I spent years dreaming of being able to work from home and to be a parent from home. And very, very long story short, we had a long fertility journey. And so I spent many years not just dreaming of a baby, but the freedom of being able to work from home and care for my kid and be able to bring in, a meaningful income. And that happened. Here it is. Remind me of the question again. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. You answered it. It was, what are you proud of when it comes to your
What am
business?
I
You've
proud
created
of?
that. You went
That was the
out on
word I
this
was looking
mission
for.
to create
Yeah.
a business where you can be a mom and be at home and be present for your son. And you built that. You got there.
Absolutely. Yeah. That is definitely what I'm most proud of. And I would say, like, secondary to that, kind of circling back to what we've been talking about, is the relationships that have come from that journey. They're invaluable. So yeah, I'm proud of those relationships too.
I love that. Well, and speaking of family, I would love to know kind of how you blend business and family, personal life, and kind of balance. I always call it balance. Or not balance, juggle. That's actually what I call it.
told me not too long ago there is no balance.
There is no balance. You're probably pregnant. And I was like,
It's an
there is no
illusion.
balance. It is a juggle. And
Oh,
sometimes
man.
everything falls.
You were completely 100% spot on when you told me when I was pregnant that the first 3 months are like, you can get some work done because the kid, like, they kind of don't move around much and they're easy to please, roughly. You were totally right. As soon as he was past the 3-month mark, oh my gosh, I need every ounce of help. Like, I will take any help I can get. So there is absolutely no balance. At the time of recording, my little guy is just over 5 months old. So there's no work-life balance. I don't really get to have any like downtime right now. But I'm hoping as he gets bigger and I'm able to scale back some of the more labor-intensive caring things that I do for him. That my time and energy will be able to shift a little bit. And so I know in this season of life right now, I know that I'm sacrificing my free time and downtime for caring for my little guy. But I know that this is just a season and there is another season ahead. And I'm looking forward to that. For like the like nitty gritty, like in the back, behind the scenes, in the background, I work whenever he's napping. I I think as many moms, we've learned that maybe contact naps get us a little bit more sleep than if we, set them down to sleep. So I carefully balance, what time I do like a contact nap. So I just strap him to my chest and I sit here and work and get like one like hour-long nap with him for that. And then after he goes to bed, I try to get in, an hour or two before I go to bed. And I just take whatever, anytime my husband's able to watch him. I really just work in the margins, and I never really truly understood that phrase. I had a friend that talked about that a lot, working inside the margins. I never understood or valued it until I became a mom. I get it so much now.
I think also we just find ways to be very productive in very short amounts of time. And
Goodness, yes.
all we need to do is just write down that list so that the second we have that, that monitor goes on and we can just start knocking out tasks in little, anything that can be done in a 10, 20-minute chunk is kind of how everything has to be because, yeah, it's, I have two, mine are older now. Right now they're 4 and 6. And it definitely is easier with them at this age. But yeah, when they were little and I was trying to grow my business, it was tough. And yeah, those naps were so important to get that afternoon nap. I was so, I need that nap because that's mommy's work time.
Oh my goodness. I'm ready he is such a good sleeper. I will tell anyone and everyone. He sleeps so good at night and I'm so grateful. But that does cost during the daytime. He is the king of the 30-minute nap. So I know that it will shift. I was a nanny for a few years before I went to college or got married or anything. So I know that the days are ahead where there will be a morning nap and an afternoon nap and bedtime. And so I am looking forward to maybe longer, more dedicated stretches that are at the same time every day instead of, well, he woke up at this time and 2 hours later he gets his 30-minute nap.
I know when my youngest was still fairly young, probably around that age, maybe a little bit older, but under a year. I had when I was still taking retainer clients, and I had one client that we would try to schedule our meetings around, during nap time. And there was sometimes I was like, hold on, I'll be right back. She's up, and my daughter would come and sit. That was back when my office was in the kitchen, not in an actual office. It was just at the kitchen table. And I mean, my daughter would just sit in on those meetings. I'd throw a bunch of little puffy things, put her in the high chair, and just hope for the best. And I remember my husband had said something once, and he was like, that's not very professional. I said, in the space I'm in, most of us are moms and making this business work around our lives. And if I have a client that doesn't fly with, then they don't need to be my client.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Yes.
Okay, I have always felt exactly that. I never, ever, ever, ever care if anyone's kid is tuning in for the Zoom call, or maybe if I have a client whose cat frequently comes across the screen.
That's me. She's talking about me.
It is. I never, ever care. And no one ever has to apologize. Like, you should absolutely never be in a position in this space to apologize for your kid being at home, being a kid. Like, they're at home. That's their space. And there's absolutely nothing unprofessional about your kids. I never feel that way. But wow, I am really having to remind myself in this current season that my baby does not make me unprofessional.
Yep.
And I didn't anticipate having to remind myself so often within like the last month or two. Because he has a knack for, I've tried to carefully time things. I don't have to tell him. He just knows if I'm going to be on a Zoom call, there's no reason to take a nap. Why would we do that?
No.
He just knows. So yeah, I've had to remind myself a lot, and I'm still going to need to remind myself my baby does not make me unprofessional.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a conversation very similar to that about the apologizing, because I didn't realize I was doing it. Sometimes being on like a Voxer chat, and with one of my relationship mastermind gals, and who's also a mom, and her kids are close to my kids' age. And I was like, oh, sorry. When one of my daughters would interrupt, and she's like, why do we as moms feel, she's like, I do it too. Why do we feel the need to apologize? I'm like, I don't know that I even recognized that I was doing it. Mm-hmm. And absolutely. Once she said that, she was like, we need to all stop apologizing for being a mom and for having our kids be present and be home when we're also running a business. And I've become more aware of that, and I stopped apologizing for that. Mm-hmm. So that it's interesting, because again, not something that I was really aware of until I was called out on it.
Mm-hmm. My husband, I'd say maybe 2 years ago or so, it was a while ago, he caught me apologizing for how I looked on a Zoom call. I don't know, it was my hair or something. I bet you it was in the middle of the pandemic, and I just looked very casual. And he told me after the call, he's like, why did you apologize for the way you look? You don't need to. And so I make sure that, once he told me that, I never, ever again have ever apologized for, you don't need to apologize. No one's expecting an apology from you as often as you think. And I would also say some of my favorite things, because being in South Dakota, there's something called Midwest nice. And the best way to describe it is just people like saying sorry too much, or not really saying what you really feel, in an effort to just be overwhelmingly polite. And yes. So in that, I, instead of, apologizing, oh, I'm sorry I was late, instead, thank you for your time. Or I have been sending a lot of emails to different people lately, because we're trying to finish buying our house. And I am not apologizing for a lot of things and instead saying, I appreciate your time.
Mhm.
Thank you for your patience. You've been really gracious through this process. Instead of like, oh, I'm sorry to bother you again. And oh, I know I sent a lot of emails. Instead of saying, I'm sorry for, thank you for your time. Thank you for being
Thank you for
gracious.
your time. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Everybody loves to be like, and I more now than ever understand the value of someone's time.
Mhm.
And so I frequently make a point to like say that to other people too, because I think they feel that same weight. And so I think it's really important to always thank people for their time because it's just as valuable or more so than money. And so if somebody's giving you their time, in some ways there's a monetary value to that. So why not say thank
Absolutely.
you?
Oh, I love that so much. Oh, I love that. So I want to ask you, we're getting close to the end of our time together, but I do have a few more questions that I want to kind of
I'm
dive
ready.
into.
Yeah, I'm ready.
I would love to know if there is a person that you admire or look up to based on the bold decisions they have made in their business or life.
Circling back to when we talked about different ladies from like masterminds and I would say like my online circle of friends, there isn't like one very specific person. It in my mind and in my heart, it is all of the women who have done many of the same things I'm doing now, just to show me that yes, you can be a mom and you can work full time from home. The balance is difficult, but you can do it. Any friend of mine that has encouraged me and um, emboldened my heart to pursue whatever it is I'm working in. Um, I would say the collective group of women that have gone before me in the sense of like showing that this can be done and getting creative with ways to do what we're doing.
I love that. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I would love to know one piece of advice you would give someone when they are first starting out that would help them be bolder and make waves in their business.
Mm, you're gonna love this. Oh man, this is something a friend of mine reminded me earlier this week. Today's Tuesday, so earlier this week was yesterday. Oh my gosh. Um, she reminded me of a phrase that I say all the time. This is something I learned early on, but wasn't able to put words to it until maybe just a couple of years ago. Um, I heard a phrase similar to this, but the one that I say the most is this. Oh, it's so good. The people in your life that are angriest about the boundaries you are setting are the people who benefited the most from your lack of boundaries. Let's say it again. The people who in your life who are angriest about your boundaries are the people who benefited the most from your lack of boundaries. There's some you've set a boundary in one way or another, online, at home, personal life, professional life, whatever. Somebody is if you're surprised by somebody's emotional reaction to you setting a boundary, maybe dig deeper and ask yourself, how much and what were they benefiting from my lack of boundaries?
Oh, I love that so much. I know I have been so intentional in the last couple years, especially with clients, with really getting clear on how projects are going to run and how working with me is going to run, and just setting those boundaries in the beginning
Mm-hmm.
helps. It helps guide them. It helps let them know what to expect. Because a lot of time,
Mm-hmm.
I find that when clients are pushing boundaries, it's either you didn't set them or they just don't know what to expect. Like they're not doing it coming from like a bad place. They're coming from a good place. They don't know.
Managing expectations.
Yeah, managing expectations. Exactly. And so I've found that as I've gotten more intentional and more, I guess, sort of organized with how I communicate with my clients and let them know, like, here's how it goes, here's what to expect, and giving them updates, and just doing those little things has made, for me at least, a lot smoother relationships with my clients because they're just clear on what to expect.
And those relationships probably last longer and are maybe more, what's the word? Yeah, just more fruitful.
They're more balanced. I feel like there's a level of respect on either side.
Yeah, I completely agree with managing expectations from the beginning, establishing those boundaries, and following through. Any parent who has said no that needs to follow through with that no. It's the same way, I think, with clients too. And I also would say, like, yeah, setting those expectations in the beginning. My younger self could have definitely learned also to think through and establish, just to have a very thoughtfully planned contract. I think contracts are one of the best boundary setting tools. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. If there's any chance of boundaries to be disrespected, there's probably a way that a contract could have gone before you in that.
Absolutely. Such good advice. Lizzie, this has been so wonderful. I would love our audience to hear, where can everyone find you if they are like, I struggle with Instagram. It's not my cup of tea. I would love to have a beautifully curated Instagram and someone who's experienced to guide me along the way. Where can everyone find you?
That was beautifully worded. You can find me on the Instagrams at Lizzie Mattson. You can also find me and my team in our adorably crafted boutique Instagram agency, Wild Feather Co. at wildfeatherco.com. And two different ways you can, if you are interested in, making some changes in your online presence with Instagram, I have two really, really fun options. The first is something I've been offering for a while now, is the month-to-month Instagram management. I have a different balance for every single client. Nobody has the exact same balance of content and management as another. So I post your feed, I take care of your stories. Everything is done top to bottom. And so that is always available. And my second thing is a brand new offer that I am really excited about. And Laura has encouraged me throughout the process. It is called the VIP Content Experience. Take what you know about VIP days or just like VIP, the process of like a VIP experience. But we are applying it to the content creation for your Instagram. So think of it as a fully customized organic content package. Me and my team, we craft 60 pieces of content for you from scratch. And so all of the graphics, this isn't just me like writing a one sentence caption with a stock photo and some hashtags. This is beautifully, thoughtfully designed. All of the graphics are customized with your brand colors and fonts and photos, and the captions are thoughtfully written to promote your main offer or to promote your freebie, to drive traffic, connect with your audience, whatever your goals are. The captions are pointed in that direction. All of your hashtags are thoughtfully researched and crafted for your audience and your the specific content. There's so many things I could say about this. I'm really excited about it. It is for the person who wants to manage their own Instagram account, but doesn't have time to make all of the content. This is for the person who maybe does some Instagram live, some of their own reels. Somebody who's like posting to stories every day, but doesn't really post to their feed, but wants to have a well to dip from of ready-made content that is evergreen. So it doesn't matter what time of year it is, there's thoughtfully written content that all you have to do is copy and paste that caption and hashtags and post the photo, graphic, whatever. And everything is already done for you. So that's something that I'm now booking. This is the first time I've gotten to talk about it. So
I
I'm really
love
excited.
it.
I'm excited about it because I think it answers a pain point that I've been experiencing. There's people I've had discovery calls with that really want to work with me, but really enjoy and desire to continue to manage their own account. They really, without saying it, they really, truly, their desire is to have content made for them.
Mhm.
And so I'm really excited to answer that pain point for people. So yeah.
I love that. Well, I will link everything up in the show notes, and I can't wait to hear how that offer goes because I know that it's incredible. It's going to be
Thanks.
great. So
I'm really excited. I put a lot of thought into it, and you were one of the people who inspired me. So I'm really, really grateful for your part in the process.
oh, well, thank you. And thank you so much for being on the show, Lizzie.
Thank you for having me. It was such a pleasure as always.